Well, hello. It's me. Hello, Mom and Dad. I am in the CU Wellness Center filming the first of the yoga videos for Christmas this year. Today's yoga class is going to be about 30 minutes and it's going to be pretty strong. Today is a power yoga class, so we're going to do a whole lot of muscly things, a lot of good planks, a lot of good workout things, and a couple of alignment and activation tips as well. As always, it's super useful to have a mirror around, and if you're practicing in the basement, you have that gigantic mirror. And today, maybe different than usually, it would be best for you to align yourself with the mirror head on, so you're looking straight into your own reflection, as we'll come back to that a couple of times today. So, the first thing that you always want to do at the beginning of a yoga class is give yourself a little bit of time to calm down and come into the moment, paying attention to the here and now. And so we're going to sit down either in a cross-legged position. Hero's pose is great. If this bugs your knees, you can stick a block underneath your buns, toes tucked under for now, and then we're going to curl them under a little later. Mess around with both of those, but take the next minute and a half, 2 minutes, close your eyes, begin bringing some attention to your breath, thing that makes it yoga. Difference between Pilates, that mindful aspect. Do your best to breathe in and out through your nose. We're going to be doing work today, but give yourself permission to be still. That same stillness is another thing that makes it yoga. Even as we're going to move through difficult poses later on, the same calm that you have in the beginning of class. Trying not to push aside, but just redirect that voice saying that this is difficult or that this is hard for later, and just focusing on the inhales and the exhales. Last big deep breath in through your nose. On your exhale, make it sound like you're fogging a mirror, but through your nose, mouth closed. One more just like that. Come onto your toes if this doesn't hurt your knees too bad. For a duo good toe stretch warming up and a little wrist warm up as well. Always good to warm up the wrist. Interlock the fingers and give them a little circle. A couple of fast circles, a couple of slow circles, working on the end. Do your best to align your ankles, knees, and hips in a triangular plane. We're going to come back to that a lot, but in almost all the positions, this one especially, switch the clasp of the fingers and then switch directions of the circle. Some fast circles, slow circles, then shake it out. Find your way into a tabletop position here. We're going to do a few rounds of spine balance just to further the warm up. Option here to use the mirror, but bringing all of your weight evenly into both of your hands. Spread your fingers as wide as you can, and then back off maybe 20%. Weighting down into the back, front, left, and right of the wrists. Inhale, we're going to draw our left leg back in space, doing our best to not let anything else change. Exhale, slow and controlled, lowering it back down to the ground. Inhale, adding on, right arm goes in front of you, shoulders and hips staying in their alignment. Inhale to lengthen, exhale, bring your elbow to your knee. Inhale, stretching out to lengthen. Exhale, elbow to knee. Last one, inhaling all the way out. Exhale to stay. And then on your inhale, begin to flag your foot and your arm off to the side, internally rotating your foot. Lift it up an extra inch, a little glute work. If you can, lower your hip down in space a tiny bit. Last inhale. Exhale, return to the mat. One breath to reset. Bringing that calm through the activeness of today. Inhale, right leg goes up back behind you. Exhale it down onto the ground. Inhale, left arm, right leg.
Hips are parallel to the mat the whole time. Exhale, elbow to knee, rounding out through our spine. Inhale, extending away. Exhale, round. Inhale, extend. Last one, exhale, rounding out. Inhale to extend and exhale to hold. Next inhale, flagging the arm and foot out to the side, internally rotating the right leg, lift it up an extra inch for good glute activation. And breathe, slow and controlled as you can. One more. Exhale, return to neutral. A little shoulder activation here. Finding a tabletop pose, elbows under shoulders, knees under hips. Allow your shoulder blades to fall onto your back here, drawing them in towards each other and then exhaling, pushing into the ground. Bringing the shoulder blades towards each other, working on a little flexibility, a few more rounds. Pushing into the ground, a little round of the back. My back round's a little lower than you want it to. Right in between your shoulder blades is really the high point you're looking for. Last one, inhaling shoulder blades together. Exhale, pushing into the ground, rounding out through those spines. Begin without anything else changing. Step your left leg back and your right leg back. Plank pose with some extra shoulder attention. What a wonderful pose. As we make it harder and more difficult today, bring your attention back to your breath and try to slow it down. And in the long holds we're going to focus on later, we want to do our best not to be thinking about time or how much longer we have, but just on the moment, inhaling and exhaling. I'll tell you when it's time to be done. A couple more plank priorities here. Do your best to make sure your feet are parallel back behind you. I've got a great view of this camera, which is nice, but you can use the mirror in front of you. Pushing down into your old shoulder blades are spreading apart. Externally rotating the arms, biceps forward, triceps back. Last exhale, make it audible. Inhale to stay and exhale into downward facing dog. Hang out here for a second. Feel free to bend your legs, taking some intuitive movement. One of my favorite ab sequences. On your next inhale, finding weight in all of your appendages except your right foot, lifted up for three-legged dog. Paralleling that back leg with your spine. Exhale, bring your right knee pushing into the ground, separating your shoulder blades. Right knee to right wrist. Knee never touches the ground. Inhale back to three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to left wrist. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to left armpit. Pushing into the ground, centering your spine so you're not wiggling too far to one side or the other. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, right knee to right armpit. Just doing your best. No one has perfect alignment. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, stepping our foot through the center here. Placing our knee onto the ground, untuck the back foot, and put it down for a nice lunge. Do your best, use the mirror to ordinate right heel, right knee, and right hip on the same triangular plane. If you were up against a wall, all of these would be touching at the same time. And then adjust your left leg to be doing the same. Not as important for the left, but still good. Your heel might be falling off to one side or the other. See if you can adjust it back to be straight back behind you. Inhale, hands up high. Exhale, option to take cactus like there's an imaginary bar you're pulling down for some back activation. Or hands together. We'll stay here for a few more breaths. Pushing into the ground evenly through the right foot and the entire left knee. Trying to make your spine as upright as possible, as if your head was dangling above and your spine was safely falling off the rest of it. Last two inhales here. Option to pick up the left knee ever so slightly. You can bring it 1 millimeter off the ground or just that action. On your next exhale, untuck or tuck the back toes, and then we're coming up for a high lunge. Straightening the left leg. Right knee is as high above your right heel as you can get it. Staying here for 1 minute. Do your best to slow down your breath. Checking in on the alignment every now and then. That same triangular plane on both legs. Slow it down. Just because it's hard, you bring your attention back to the calm, that meditative aspect of yoga. Just inhales and exhales. Last 20 seconds, bonus points, lowering the back leg almost down to the ground and then leaving a centimeter or just a millimeter between the two. I know it's hard, I'm right there with you. Do your best not to let your right hip fall out in space. Drop back towards the left. Next, inhalation, planting the back foot down for warrior two. Windmill the arms up high behind you, straightening through the left leg. Hips are 45 degrees off to the left, as is your back foot and back leg. Front leg is still in the exact same position. Got the parallel to the mirror in front of you. Bend your leg deeper here if you'd like. Not going past 90 degrees, knee stays above your ankle. Slow it down and breathe. Maybe close your eyes and find soft focal points. We're using the mirror in front of us, but there's a tendency to fall forward. So maybe bring your shoulders back in space or just look down. Do your best once again to upright your spine, just like in the beginning. Bonus points here if you'd like to step up into half moon for just a breath. Bouncing on the right foot. Exhale, punching back into warrior two. Windmilling the hands down onto the ground. Drawing the right knee back and up the same way we came in, pushing into the ground, activating the shoulders again. Stepping back into downward facing dog. Stay for a few breaths. Do your best to slow it down. A nice resting pose. Inhale to center. Let's sneak in a really good long, slow chaturanga. Once again, maybe check one shoulder activation, scapula push-up. Arms are externally rotated. Begin to bring your body forward in space. Maybe stay here if you're dying, going down onto your knees, but bending your elbows. Looking for 90 degrees, elbows above wrists. Stay for a few extra breaths. Inhaling straight up into plank. Exhale to stay. On your next exhale, find your way back to downward facing dog. And slow it down yet again. Next inhale, weight into all your appendages. Left leg comes up high behind you, three-legged dog. Parallel your leg with your spine as best you can. Don't let your left hip come up in space. Exhale, pushing into the hands, left knee to left wrist. Slow and steady. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, left knee to right wrist. Inhale to three-legged dog. Oop, I'm falling off to the right. Use the mirror. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, left knee to right wrist. Slower. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, left knee to left armpit. Inhale, three-legged dog, last one. Shoulders pushing into the ground. Exhale, drawing it through the center. Gently placing our foot down, untucking the toes, coming up for a lunge on the other side. First checking for our alignment. Our left hip, left knee, left ankle is in the same plane of existence. The knee tends to fall forward internally or externally. Hockey players got those buns and quads, but we like to do external rotation of the foot, and the knee tends to fall in when that happens. So maybe externally rotate a tiny bit more. Hips are parallel left and right on your mat. Slight activation, pushing down through the legs and knees. Just uprighting yourself as best you can. Think about height in this pose. Beginning activation, pushing into the legs. My hip immediately starts to fall off to the side as soon as I move my weight around, which is okay. It's the way the body works, but try to bring it back to the center. Right knee comes ever so slightly off the ground, or just the action of imagining it if it's not actually lifting off. That's totally fine. Last inhale and exhale. Exhale, maybe hands come to the ground, tuck the toes underneath. We're rising up into our lunge. Option, once again, at any point during any of these, to involve the shoulders through this nice cactus position. Nice thing about this is you can keep symmetry of the body and not do it on both sides, you know? If my left leg is forward and we're doing cactus on this side, that's fine. Keep the alignment. Do your best not to let either of your legs fall off to either side. Pushing down through the back heel as if there's a wall before you move it further up in space, but then activate your glute. Pushing back, last 20 seconds. Option to bend the right knee directly above the ground. Maybe find some water. Nice water break in this restful, rejuvenative pose. Last inhale. Right heel comes down, warrior two on the other side. Inhale, hands parallel, hips, leg, everything 45 degrees to this mat. Bending the left leg, same alignment. Check in the mirror here. You can see your big toe. Inhale, hands up to the side. If you want to go deeper, but your knee's coming over your shin, you can just scoot it forward a teeny tiny bit. Slow it down as best you can. Pushing into the front, back, left and right of both feet evenly. Left glute should super be activated here. Last 10 seconds if you'd like to step up into half moon or just stay in warrior two. An extra balance pose, maybe just for one breath. Bead of sweat dripping off there, very fun. Stepping back, first into warrior two. Windmilling the hands down under the ground. First into plank, checking our shoulder blade activation. Arms externally rotated. Let's do another really slow chaturanga. I love up dogs, but it can be a little dicey on the lower back. Time and place. Inhale back into plank. Find your plank activation here. Maybe pulling your hands and feet towards each other for breath and then pushing them away lightly. Just experimenting with muscle activation. You want the things that are pulling and pushing in both directions to be working at all times, even when you're just pushing into the ground. Well, that's a fun way to get it going. Externally rotating the left arm. We're coming onto side plank on the left. Same shoulder activation. Feels a little different now that we're pushing into the ground, but you're actively pushing into your side here. Hips forward and up in space. Right hip an inch back. The tendency to tip over. Use the mirror. Adjust. Do your best to push your buns forward and hips paralleled. And slow it down. Pain is bad. And if you're experiencing pain, things that feel like they hurt and aren't good for your body, probably just aren't good for your body. So back off. But if it's not that kind of pain, if it's just muscular atrophy, you can do it. Breathing deeply. A mystery is how long we're going to do it. Quit thinking about the time. We'll be done when it's time to be done. Inhale. Exhale, slowly bringing your way back through center plank. Find your correct alignment, and then inhale over to the right. Once again, actively pushing into the right arm, externally rotating a micro bend, making sure not to lock the elbow. Hips come forward. Stack them over if one side is falling forward or back. Raise the hips and up an extra little bit. And slow it down. Maybe closing your eyes here. Inhale in through the nose, slowly. Exhaling even slower, making our way back to plank in a controlled fashion. Check for shoulder blade activation as best you can. Pushing into the ground actively, bringing them apart. There's a pillar of meditation. There's three of them. But the one surprise that this class is focused about, orient yourself left to right here, make sure you're through the center, is about how suffering is a natural part of life. That's not something you guys need to hear. You're both very good at enduring, but the difficulties of the day come whether or not we have a good mindset for it, or we're prepared, or how we respond to them. But how we respond to them is the only thing we get to choose. Training your body and mind to calmly go through struggle and stress in these fantastically difficult poses and classes is a great way, is my favorite way of preparing yourself to go through the rest of the day. It's not about being able to do a plank for a certain amount of time. It's about slowing down and breathing your way through it. Just returning to the inhale and the exhale. Enjoying the present moment. Allowing the suffering to be there around us. Embracing the shake. Breathe slower in and out through your nose. Last inhale all the way in. Slow and controlled. Place your knees down and exhale your way back into a child's pose. Great job. I didn't warn you, but that was a 5-minute plank on both sides. You did it. Even if it wasn't the whole thing, you did your best, and that's also what's important. Maybe grab some water. It's always important to balance a little stretching and winding down time with the difficulty. Even in these purposefully shorter classes, bring your attention back to your breath now, just your breath. Trying to make your sweat beads fall symmetrically in the center of your mat. That's how you know you have good alignment. Just inhaling and exhaling. Maybe walking over to one side, tipping from the hips, right arm out over to the right. Maybe left arm finds its way on top, spinning up here and then going for length. Left armpit a little bit towards the sky, but still pretty parallel. Next inhale, switch sides. Walking our way over to the left. Whatever degree you took on the right, maybe right armpit tips up a tiny bit. Looking for length and no force. Pain or discomfort in these poses might be a sign that we pushed a little bit too hard earlier, which, sorry if I set you up for that, but it's most important about recognizing it for yourself. No one else can tell you where your end is. Inhaling through center. Finding a comfortable seat. This is a great time to have a block. Those with less flexible hips, like hockey players, once again, somehow seems like it kicks our butts pretty good. Either sitting in a cross-legged seat, maybe two blocks underneath you, if that's what it takes. Step one is to find an upright back with as little discomfort as possible. Maybe today, that means still using your hands to prop yourself up, even with your hips lifted up. Finding that upright block. Option for cow face is what I'm going to be taking here today. So one leg comes down, and then you cross over at the knees. I still need a block to do this pose correctly. I probably will forever. It's not some things you can't outtrain. But finding comfort here, not pushing. We'll be here for a solid minute once we get set up. If this is bugging your knees, please come out of it or lessen the pose. But either way, cross-legged or cow face. Inhaling our left arm up, right arm coming behind us, reaching for the fingers. If you can't grab them, that's okay. Just grab parts of your shirt at whatever degree you can. Not cramming for it, but if possible, grab opposite fingers. Roll the shoulder tips back, inhaling. Imagine a parallel line from one elbow tip to the next. A straight line lengthening, elbows coming back in space, or top elbow coming back in space. Finding that straight spine again, and then returning just to the breath. That same stillness. So much easier when you're not in the plank. That's why we practice it. Everything by comparison becomes so minimal. Clearing your mind. We could do a whole lesson on just clearing our mind and meditating, and we probably will, but doing your best to be calm. Maybe envisioning a blank space is an excellent tool. Something or a thought pops into that blank space, just like the balancing poses when you fall out. If a thought slips in, gently redirect it to the side with no blame. It's all right. Let it come and go. Last inhale without slingshotting, exhaling, releasing the arms, wiggling out a little bit. Ah, those good tingly feelings. If you stretch for too long, well, if you continue stretching for a long time in a healthy manner, eventually you get less of those tingly feelings, and in a strange way, you start to miss them. Moving around our legs, just shaking off the rust before switching sides. Oh, it's the wrong way. My left knee is over my right now, if you're coming here, or if that's the opposite of what you did, then do the opposite. Finding a straight back first. I should have mentioned this before, but a tiny bit of activation through the feet, like you were standing up on them, even though they're in this crazy position, just like 5% can help guide the muscles, bringing tension away from your knees. Also, option to just raise up the legs. Still getting set up here. This one takes me a while, and that's okay. Inhaling the right arm high up behind you, above you, left arm internally rotating. Whatever side you took on the other end, it is very likely that one side is more flexible than the other for many things, just like stronger, but try to match your less flexible side. Finding a straight back, maybe closing your eyes or finding a soft spot to gaze upon. Find that parallel line between your elbows again, top elbow moving back and away in space, left elbow maybe drawing downward, shoulder blades are both rolled back. Stillness. Just focusing on the inhales and the exhales, the sensations in the body. You can do it. Holding these long poses are difficult and uncomfortable for a different reason. You can't force your way through them, but it takes some convincing for your body to know this is all right and that it is safe to do this. And one way we can tell it is through the breath. Slow inhales, slow exhales. Last inhale to stay. Exhale without slingshotting, letting go of the arms, tapping fingertips. Well, I also should have mentioned this before, but if this is not your first time watching the video, or maybe for next time, you could do everything mirrored in case I was a little long, as it is inevitably always to be a little bit longer on one side. Switch it and make sure it's the other side that gets the extra time. I'm going to stay upright just so you can hear me here, but slowly bring yourself onto the back of the mat for the most important pose of the day, Shavasana, corpse pose. That same attention and awareness we've cultivated and had all class. Give yourself a quick body scan. Any pain or discomfort that maybe needs to be addressed or listened to for next time. Take a breath and let it go. Notice what feels nice and good. I always feel so warm and fuzzy after I get a good yoga in. My body's happy, makes our mind happy, all those crazy chemicals, us being fancy monkeys and whatnot. Last deep breath in, exhale, let go of the manual breathing, moving back to automatic, letting your breath naturally rise and fall. Bring your attention to your mind. Once again for today, cultivating a blank space. There's two main types of meditation, really. One where you focus on a specific thing, a concept or a question or an aspect, or just something you've been thinking a lot about. And the other is where you try to be as still as possible. And both have their time and place. But the stillness is something that we really try to cultivate throughout yoga, and we want to bring it through the end of Shavasana today. Imagine your thoughts are like water flowing down a river, and you're in the center of it. But raise yourself up above the river in space, so your thoughts are still flowing underneath you. They're still there. We'll let them flow past you. And every now and then, if one jumps up, allow it to go past, turning back to the river. Just like the strength and balancing poses, meditation takes practice. And while it is great to get in a good hard yoga class like today's every now and then, slowing down, stretching, and doing the physical maintenance is important, but so is the mental maintenance. Not only is it important and okay to sit down and be still and do nothing, but it's really necessary. A lot of things about the modern world, our phones, how busy we all are with all of our jobs. You two especially, the hard workers you are. Be still. Whenever you're ready, either pausing me on the screen here or rolling up to your side now, making your way to a seated position. Cultivating a moment of gratitude. Thankful that you did yoga. Thankful you have a yoga teaching son, which is pretty cool. I'm thankful that I have parents to do yoga with today.